right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I call to order the Clackamas County Board of Commissioners meeting this June 18th, 2015. I'll ask Mr. Krupp to do the roll call.
Well, good morning, Commissioners. We are joined this morning with Stephen Madcore, County Counsel, and then to my left, Mary Rathke, the Clerk to the Board. Commissioner Reynolds.
Here.
Commissioner Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Savas.
Here.
Chair Ludlow.
Here. All please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, the first order of agenda is a presentation, Mr. Krupp.
Oh, so yes, what I'd like to do is to introduce Nora. Come on up from Emergency Management. Want to talk a bit about fire safety and fire prevention this time of year, so please.
Perfect timing.
Good morning, Chair, Commissioners. Thank you for allowing us to come and talk today. Because we are approaching fire season and we have severe conditions this year, as already half the counties in Oregon have declared a drought, we wanted to just touch briefly on some fire safety prevention tips, both for the home and outdoors for the summer. Good. And thank you for allowing us to come and talk about that. For the home, fire-wise communities in Oregon, we ask that residents at this time of year in particular make sure that their roofs are cleared of any debris, such as leaves or needles, off of their roofs and their decks for a minimum of 3 to 5 feet. Make sure that we choose plants that don't have any oils or resins, such as lavender or irises, and that we maintain a clear driveway so first responders, in case there is a house fire, can access your home. For outdoor activities such as campfires, we like to remind people that if you're outdoors and you don't have a designated campfire pit, that you create one at least 15 feet away from any flammable materials, such as tents or shrubs or trees or anything like that. The campfire pit must be at least a foot deep and encircled in rocks, and you always must maintain a bucket and a shovel nearby, a bucket full of water. To put out the campfire pits, we ask that folks completely down everything and stir until it's cold to the touch, rather than covering the campfire with water. If there is no water available, you can do this with sand or with dirt as well, stirring in the same manner to make sure that the whole campfire is cold to the touch before you're done. For hunters or those that like to target practice, we ask that you don't use ammunition with steel jackets or with tracer rounds or any steel core components, because they can ignite and spark. Also to use targets that do not explode in fire-prone areas. For target practice, many of the forests that have fire restrictions also do not allow target practice, so always check regulations before you go and do that. As you're in cars and ATVs or RVs or any motor vehicles, those exhausts are very hot and can also spark fires when they come in contact with dry grass or debris. So we recommend that if you're driving in the wilderness areas that you're aware of this, and only park in designated parking spots as well when you turn off the vehicles. And last but not least, the most important is fireworks, as we're coming on to fireworks season. The National Fire Protection Association, which is the leading authority in the U.S. for fire protection and prevention, recommends that people do not use any personal fireworks at all, that they only attend professional displays. But we understand that people will use personal fireworks. So in that case, we recommend that people, as they purchase personal fireworks, that they do so that are only fire marshal approved fireworks and not use any others than that. We ask that they do not use them near any dry grass or any sort of combustible or explosive or flammable materials, and to always have a bucket full of water to dispose of fireworks, as well as an open hose nearby when they're using the fireworks. Never leave those unattended, never leave children or pets around when you use fireworks, and also only use one at a time. I do want to touch on the Clackamas County Wildfire Protection Plan. We've updated it in 2012 with support from the Board of County Commissioners. It's a comprehensive guide that lists our hazards. It lists our objectives. It has a risk assessment and is available online on our website as well as in our office. You're welcome to check out a physical book for you. Any questions?
The fireworks thing is particularly poignant. You know, we most of us know that up in Washington, it's a lot more liberal. They have Class C fireworks, things that go way up in the air. There's no doubt that some of that is brought down in Oregon on a regular basis. We see it every July 4th. So for those of you with illegal fireworks, there are roving patrols of fire marshals looking for you. So just a warning out there, if you've got some stuff from Washington State, be very, very careful. I remember taking my kids up to Washington because they really did have fantastic fireworks, and we didn't want to bring any back in Oregon, so we parked in a school lot, and everybody was blasting out fireworks. I left after a bottle rocket came in through my window and left my wife's window. Fortunately, it left there. We thought that was a good time to leave. But anyway, it's really quite interesting how fireworks can lend to fires during this particular time of the year. And unfortunately, some people go up into our forest lands in Clackamas and also use fireworks. So got to be very careful up there. We just had a bad, was it 31 pit fire? 36 pit fire. That was caused by, as you said, shooting, and a spark occurred, and the rest was 5,000 acres. So
exactly.
It's a good primer. Thank you very much, and we'll be more careful.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Nora. All right, I'm going to announce that we will recess as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as the Housing Authority Board for the next item. Commissioner Paul Reynolds has already been introduced by roll call, so welcome to him. And so I'll ask the clerk to read the Housing Authority Consent Agenda by title.
Okay. The Housing Authority Consent Agenda. In the matter of writing off uncollectible accounts for the fourth quarter of fiscal year 2015, approval to respond to the Meyer Memorial Trust request for proposal to increase access to private market units for low-income renters through an Affordable Housing Initiative grant, and a Resolution 1910 approving the Housing Authority of Clackamas County fiscal year 2015-2016 budget.
All right. Any of the commissioners want to remove any of these items? All right, entertain a motion.
I move we approve the Housing Authority consent agenda.
Is there a second? All right. Commissioner Reynolds with the motion, Commissioner Savas with the second. Any further discussion? All right, I'll ask the clerk to call the poll.
Commissioner Reynolds?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Savas?
Aye.
Chair Ludlow?
Aye, passes 4-0. Commissioner Reynolds, thank you very much. Appreciate you being here. We will adjourn the Housing Authority Board and reconvene as a Board of County Commissioners for the remainder of the meeting.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Paul.
you. All right, it's time for citizens' communication. I will call you up in twos, and there's only two. So that would be Mac Woods and Les Poole.
Mac's nervous. I'll go first.
Max, nervous? That's not possible.
Yeah. Hey, Les Poole, Clackamas County. I appreciate the input about fireworks. Someone asked me what I'm doing on the 4th of July, and I said I'm going to sit up on the roof with a fire hose and try and protect my house. And the irony is that I had a friend whose home literally burned to the ground several years ago. They were gone, and the neighbors burned his house down with fireworks. Real unnerving. I know we had a town hall in Milwaukee on infrastructure, and hopefully it was well attended. Maybe we'll get a little feedback on that. I saw it had a theme, which I'm all for that, but hopefully there was plenty of time left over for other issues, because these town halls need to be citizen-driven. And sometimes people will look, they'll see, oh, well, the agenda's about this, and they don't come. When it comes to infrastructure, everybody should be there, but again, I think when people look at an agenda, sometimes they decide, well, I don't know anything about that, and I won't show up, and we need participation. So I appreciate that you guys are out there doing that, and keep it up. I noticed something in the paper that was a little troubling. State loses jobs in May for the first time in a while. So, you know, I've said it before, and we all know it. There's a lot of tax increases and things going on in Salem. At the same time, when the economy's, it's going better, but it's still fragile. And you folks just went through a big budget process, so I don't need to hammer that home. But we got to continue to watch our money. Last thing I wanted to mention is, you know, it dovetails back to Metro, the remand that we hear about, and how can the county move forward. And the remand, of course, was the appeals court soundly rejecting Metro's urban planning and reserve planning for the entire Portland area, literally. And Clackamas County was part of that. I saw that as an opportunity to look for more industrial land, to look outside of the Stafford box, and hopefully we can do some things that are going to take advantage of that unfortunate fiasco. I think the county's got a golden opportunity here, but at the same time, I realize we don't know what's going on in Damascus. I understand we're about 400 acres short of industrial land, and just please take this opportunity and do everything you can to encourage job growth here. We keep hearing that, you know, we've got so many more people moving here, but not enough jobs in the county, and I don't fault the current commission for that by any means. But I will say that I'm meeting a lot of customers and folks out there that are moving to the county because they can't afford to live in Portland, or they don't have a backyard anymore. So a lot of folks want to retire here and move here, and that puts strains on the infrastructure. So I know you folks will do the best you can with it, and I'll cede the rest of the time to Mr. Woods, which is 0.
We'll start, thank you, with commissioners. Commissioner Smith.
I'll take the time now, since we don't have a lot of speakers, to talk about our town hall last night in Milwaukee.
Thanks.
It was very well attended. We had 45 people. We talked about the transportation, what we should do. We had suggestions from the folks, 2 suggestions: that we don't bother with the voters on their ask, that we just go ahead and raise the money and implement whatever we need to without a vote. I'm not inclined to do that now or in the near future. So our road situation may not be immediately improved, but we're going to have a work session next week, or a policy session, to discuss the results of the poll and steps forward. I'm sorry, I've got this nagging stuff. We also discussed the Walnut Falls locks, and there was a lot of interest in that, and we're working forward with that to try to encourage the Corps of Engineers to reopen them, repair them, and then transfer the ownership to an entity in Oregon so we can use them, and that was a lot of discussion. We discussed housing, and that's part of the infrastructure. Clackamas County owns Milwaukee Heights, and it's a 20-acre parcel with scattered units and apartment building, and there was we're looking at redeveloping in that because it's so old, and we have a need for more housing. So I think we will approach the city of Milwaukee and the neighbors out there to get their feedback on what they want to see on that. It's not something that's going to be done immediately. It's going to take several years to get on that. But thank you for mentioning our town hall. It was a really good time last night.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Commissioner Sapp.
One more thing.
Yes.
I'm sorry, John. Land use. This commission and staff is working very, very hard to get some land use resolution out of the legislature. There are so many things going on a daily basis, juggling of balls with the legislation. You can't even begin to talk about it, but rest assured we are working on that. You know, as hard as we can. If we don't get anything out of the legislature, then we go to Plan B. Plan B is already being implemented, discussions with Metro on what we need to fulfill our industrial job situation in the county. So thank you for bringing that up.
Commissioner Savas.
Well, I think I'll just take Tootie's order, and that is talk about the one thing that Tootie didn't speak of that occurred last night at the town hall was there was a person who came up and suggested that the county commissioners just simply implement, without going to the voters, some kind of a road funding mechanism, whether it be a sales tax or reg fee or utility fee or property tax measure, that we should just do that without the vote of the citizens. And my response to that was, well, I have it. You know, I've had a number of people approach me and said that if the county commissioners didn't do that, very similar people that did the Selwood Bridge measure and others, that they would probably circulate a petition and try to overturn that decision, and that would probably set us back several years. And I think the rebuttal to that was posed back to us as well. Then you shouldn't really be intimidated. And I said, well, I don't think it's a matter of intimidation. I just think it's a factor in a decision of how you succeed, how you get across the finish line. And so as we talk about this next week as a work session item on Tuesday, we'll talk about different approaches and maybe some different ideas and see where we go. With regard to land use, as I've been kind of saying for the last year or more, really, that we've been putting so much energy in the Borland-Stafford area, and there's two areas in the county that have been politically charged, has been Borland-Stafford and south of Wilsonville, and yet the rest of the county, East County, where there's a lot of opportunity, where our economic engine is, where a lot of our infrastructure assets are, there hasn't been much time devoted to that. So this Tuesday, our staff presented basically a timeline on how to schedule between now and August, you know, some discussions on how to address that. So I'm looking forward to that discussion, and hopefully we can not be, and it looks like we'll get, our need, you mentioned 400 acres, our need is probably closer to over 1,000. And I think the study we just did indicated that, and staff sees it that way, and that was part of the presentation, so I kind of urge you maybe to take a look at that.
The answer to your question, by the way, and this will be the same for all of our town halls, although we have a theme, people aren't restricted to that. So I announced up front that anything they wanted to talk to the commission about and ask questions about, they were free to do. So just so you know that. Thanks. Mr. Woods.
Yes, sir. Chair Ludlow, thank you. And county commissioners, at least 3 faithful commissioners are here. We notice a lot of them have many other things to do that they think is more important. Along with that,
I'm going to interrupt you, Mac, to say this. Commissioner Bernard is excused because he is at a justice forum, which he's very involved in and reports back to this board. Secondarily, Martha was at a WICO meeting this morning and was on 205, and there was an accident right in front of her, so that's the only reason she's late.
thank you. I didn't know that. Appreciate your comment. I am Mac Arthur Woods, living in Clackamas County. I go by Mac for short. However, did you know that we don't know, we being the property owners, taxpayers in Clackamas County, there's a lot we don't know about politicians. Yes, we're going to have fun next election because I'm doing some research for the veterans to find out what we don't know, as some politicians lay the claim of all the things they're doing for veterans while they really do nothing except throw out a plea for votes election time. Well, guess what? We're going to be rocking and rolling this next election because I'm going to get some facts. It's probably, well, the veterans are going to be rocking. Some of the politicians are going to be rolling on the floor because they don't know why. They won't know why they were not reelected. Are we going to have fun? Yes, sir. So that you will see coming in the very near future. Also, you may have read about what our famous governor, without naming him, out of respect, just the position, tried to pull off, and, well, you know the story on that. Well, he appoints every cotton picking, well, I don't know if they've ever picked cotton, but that's a term I use sometimes, person on the Ethics Commission. What we're discovering is the Ethics Commission is not too ethical. Da-da. Are we having fun? We're going to have fun, let me tell you. After winning the first case in the whole state of Oregon, me personally, against a malpractice case against a crooked attorney, you think I'm going to back off to hold the Ethics Commission to step aside? Look how many people are no longer here. I got a file cabinet full of CDs that I buy $10 for the first one and $3 for the copies thereafter that go back to the time when I first started coming here. I have the hammer that's going to get results. I ain't going into details. You can't do it in 3 minutes, I'm here to tell you. You know that? While some commissioners on their closing comments run 5, 6, 7, 10 minutes. We need more time, Mr. Chair Ludlow, so if you could make that possible some way. And it'd even be good to have maybe 3 in the beginning and 3 after follow-up, because my name has been called many times by 1 or 2, not you, Chair Ludlow, except what you, Tootie or Paul said this. Can I have 1 more minute?
Well, you can keep going, Ack. Go ahead.
Thank you.
I'm entertained.
That's, well, I'm having fun, but it's going to be more fun at next election to discover what I'm doing is getting out to the veterans information that politicians don't know and don't do. So we're going to have fun next election. With that, Chair, out of respect, I'm done. Have a good day. Appreciate you. Look how many's not here anymore. As we used to have a room full, and it's caused the public that can't trust some people anymore.
I thought it was because they weren't angry at us anymore, Mac.
No.
Oh, darn it.
Not you. I'm referring to some others. I'm talking about politicians in general. Don't matter if it's a commissioner or outside of Clackamas County and attorneys. Da-da. Are we going to have fun? Yes, we're going to have fun. Thank you for allowing me to add another minute or 2.
Thank you, sir. All right, that's the closing bell for the citizens' communication. We'll go to the oh, Martha's trying to get in there. Yeah. Well, we'll wait just a second. Commissioner Schrader has now arrived after she wasn't in the traffic accident. She was simply delayed by said traffic accident. And actually, Martha, we're just adjourning. Thank you very much for showing up.
We know.
All right. Not fun to play with Martha. All right. So I'll ask the clerk to read the consent agenda by title.
Okay, the consent agenda. Under Health, Housing, and Human Services, we have approval of Amendment Number 2 to an intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Department of Education Youth Development Division to provide juvenile crime prevention services. Under Finance, approval of a contract with Tualatin Valley Workshop, Inc. for janitorial services. Under Elected Officials, approval of previous business meeting minutes. Under the Business and Community Services, a resolution delegating a signature authority to the Library Service District Administrator for entering into 2 agreements relating to the transfer of library assets and employees to the City of Happy Valley. Under Juvenile, approval of Amendment Number 1 to the Intergovernmental Agreement with Multnomah County to purchase beds within Multnomah County's Assessment and Evaluation Program. Approval for filing of a grant application for the 2015 Edward Bryan Memorial Justice Assistant Grant. And under Service District Number 5, which is street lighting, a resolution for a supplemental budget for Service District Number 5 less than 10% of the total qualifying expenditures and making appropriations for fiscal year 2014-2015. And that concludes the consent agenda.
All right. Any items to be removed by the commissioners? I'll ask for a motion.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Smith, second by Commissioner Schrader. Any further discussion? All right, Mary.
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas,
Aye.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Chair Ledlow.
Aye, passes 4-0. And now, what most people wait for every week, it's the county administrator update.
Yes, and since we had such a short regular business meeting agenda, I've got a lot of information to share with you this morning to fill up the morning. Actually, the first thing I really wanted to focus on has to do with hot summer weather and the fact that everybody is wanting to enjoy our summer by visiting our beautiful rivers, lakes, and streams in the county. But I just wanted to say a few words about safety. So with the hot temperatures during the past month, we've got a lot of folks flocking to our rivers. And we have experienced several incidents of drowning or near drowning in the past few weeks. Preventing these tragedies and raising safety awareness is very important to our staff here at Clackamas County. And I just wanted to take this opportunity to remind the public to be as safe as possible when using our bodies of water. Boaters on rafts must wear personal flotation devices and whistles at all times, and those that do not are actually subject to fines. And then we strongly encourage swimmers to wear life jackets and not to swim alone, to be aware that there may be objects just below the surface, not to dive into water unless you are sure of the depth and the temperature. Do not leave children unattended in or near the water. Know your limits and don't overexert yourself. And please don't drink alcohol during water activities, including swimming and boating on our rivers, lakes, and streams. So Clackamas County wants to make sure that those who live, work, and play in our waterways this summer have fun and do it safely. I got a couple of other items I wanted to share in the way of good news. Our own Kevin Moss in the County Administrator's Office, he competed for the Triple Crown for the Toastmasters International Program, which means he received 3 educational awards within 1 calendar year. He most recently completed the Competent Leadership Manual and achieved the Advanced Communicator Bronze Award. That's our Kevin. All of our employees who are participating in the county's Toastmaster clubs, they're all gaining valuable skills that will not only benefit them with their personal growth, but also their professional skills that enhance our ability to serve the public here at Clackamas County. And then I just got a very interesting email from Gary Schmidt, our Director of Public and Governmental Affairs, just kind of wanting to let me know about something that happened last night at the town hall in Milwaukee. So Dylan Blaylock, who is a staff person in Public and Governmental Affairs, who was at the meeting last night providing staff support, and was encountered by a citizen in need. She apparently locked her car keys in her car. So Dylan offered to drive her home and then back to the high school so she could retrieve a fresh set of keys and unlock her car so that she was able to drive home. Well, it turns out this particular individual is one of our finalist candidates for the purchasing manager position in the finance department, who was attending.
No, really?
So we that extra special sense of community and public service, I think, created a very positive impression on what it means to be a Clackamas County employee. So just thought I'd share that with you.
Oh, sounds like Dylan scored some huge points.
Yes,
Good
he
stuff.
certainly did.
So is that the conclusion of that exciting?
That's my report for you.
Thank you very much. And so Commissioner Communication, we'll start with Commissioner Tootie Smith.
Thank you. I would like to give a head nod to one of our employees, Rick Gruen. He's our Parks Manager and Forestry Extraordinary Expert, as I like to call him. Has been appointed to our Oregon State Forest Advisory Committee, and that's a very important position implementation of our forest strategies and trying to make sure our forests are healthy and we're able to use them for economic gain. Last afternoon, we had a Willamette Falls Locks meeting with our committee that's working on moving forward. I'm happy to report that Senate Bill 131 passed the Ways and Means Subcommittee in Transportation, and tomorrow it goes to the full Ways and Means for support. It passed unanimously, and that is to create a state task force on the opening of the locks, and I look forward to that. This particular group has been meeting most of the year, and it has been very good. We've accomplished many things. We are getting the Corps of Engineers to actually start to negotiate with us because they have realized that we're serious about that. Our goal is to reopen and have the locks repaired by the Corps and transfer ownership so we can use them for commerce, tourism, recreation, and any other feature. And since there's development going on the other side of the river on the Legacy project with the redo of the Blue Heron paper mill, we think this is a good opportunity to enhance the public participation in that, and also just to make the place look better. It's not too good looking down there, and we think it's going to be a big boon to have that happen. I too am concerned about the fire danger, and we had a great presentation. Please go online to what Nora was talking about. The National Fire Protection Society Fire Protection Plan that's online. And if you're driving down the road, you know, be careful about throwing cigarette butts out the window. And believe me, you do not want to be the one who causes a forest fire that wreaks economic damage upon our landscape, because they will find you, and it's not fun. So please be careful. Thank you.
Commissioner Schrader.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thanks, colleagues, for being here. I was stuck in the parking lot that was I-205 for a while. There was a crash, and I actually ended up going through Gladstone, but by then, I guess I had waited too long. But I knew that things would be taken care of here with my colleagues and friends. So just let me say a few words since Commissioner Smith talked about fire hazard. I'll talk about water again. I want to thank Don Krupp, our administrator, for mentioning that again. I would just like to say that please remember that our river systems, as benign as they may look, really can be quite treacherous, particularly the Clackamas. And whatever you do when you go on the water, please, please, please make sure you have a life jacket, and make sure that the flotation device you're using is not something from a little inner tube from Kmart or something like that. You really need to have something substantive to float down the river with. And I've seen people do this without a life jacket and on flotation devices that are absolutely not safe. It's the major cause, I believe, of drowning on our river. And it also, you know, for what it's worth, too, we need to give kudos to our sheriff's office that has a marine component to it that is constantly going up and down the Clackamas as well as the Willamette River, continuing to make sure people are safe and checking things out. And as we all know, alcohol consumption has decreased just at the park thanks to the enabling efforts we've worked with our public safety folks to make sure that they can make that happen. Yes, Commissioner Smith and I attended the meeting the other day dealing with the Willamette Falls locks. It is moving ahead pretty quickly at this point, so I think we're all pleased about that. One of the things I'll add to Commissioner Smith's comments is that the whole area there, the locks as well as the Legacy project, has been now declared a statewide area of heritage of significance. It's a first step, we hope, on having it be the first West Coast National Heritage Site west of the Mississippi. There are lots of them in the East Coast, and we are pushing very hard to make sure that because of all the good stuff happening on both sides of the river, that moves forward as well. And I think there was a bill, you probably know the number, I can't recall, that actually actually declared it, or it might have been just an action by the State Heritage Council as well. So that's in the works. Other than that, I get, since Commissioner Bernard isn't here today, I get to do, Mary, don't I, the
Dog of the week?
the dog of the week here. Okay. This is Casey. Casey is a lovely senior girl with a shy, quiet demeanor. She loves attention and good pats on the head. She would love a family that would help her get more exercise so she can trim down a bit. Casey loves water and playing in a kiddie pool. And if I didn't have two big black rescue dogs that I adopted from Clackamas Dog Services, I would certainly give her a look and take her home. In fact, it's kind of dangerous to give me this because I want every dog puppy I see, I want to take home with me because I just love my dogs. It's the best thing you can do. You know, when I get home at night to see my two girls there with their big brown eyes, just it's just very, 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 very comforting. So
That's a great picture, Martha, isn't it?
Oh, the two big dogs. Yeah. Well,
This right here,
this here,
Casey.
that's great. Well, I want a picture of my dogs next time. I'll take a picture and get it to you guys so you can show.
Someone might adopt them.
You know
Yeah,
your
we do them.
dogs.
Yeah, well, I know. Yeah, I love my dogs. Good dogs. Okay.
Now, that probably is not a pit bull. It's a Yorkshire Terrier, which look a lot alike. But it looks like it's
sweet-
very gentle.
Sweet dog. Actually, I will, if I may, pit bulls actually are oftentimes very gentle dogs. Sometimes they get a bad rap, I think. I think that by and large, if they're trained properly and if they're not trained, if they actually can be very good pets. I think there's a lot of misinformation out there about pit bulls, but that's just my personal opinion, so.
Commissioner Savas.
Well, I wanted to just speak a little bit. I know I heard we talk about safety out there, and just want to acknowledge that during this time of the year, there's a lot of construction crews out there fixing roads, doing construction work out there, and at this, again, because of the frequency and how many of those projects are going on, I just want to acknowledge, number one, their hard work, but if drivers could be cautious and slow down and realize that in construction areas sometimes that even, and I saw a near accident the other day where a bicyclist was trying to go around a construction area and a car at the same time. So be careful. There's people out there walking, and there's people out there that are biking, and there's also cars moving around, and construction workers are standing there flagging. So just be cautious, and the benefit of that is that we'll have an improved system by virtue of their work. Clackamas County Coordinating Committee retreat was last Friday and Saturday. We had good attendance, and it was another successful retreat. I say the last three have been very cooperative, collaborative, and it's great to see jurisdictions actually working together side by side to trying to solve problems. So myself, Commissioner Schrader, and Commissioners Bernard were there for the two-day event. And again, when governments work in good faith, I think the citizens win. I think that's the theme that we have to look at when other governments trying to solve problems. And it's always disappointing to see when governments really aren't working in good faith or appear to be working in good faith. And again, when we do, the citizens save money or ratepayers save money. So that's my pitch for today. Be safe.
All right. Well, briefly, the town hall was mentioned last night, and we have several more, which I'll mention in a moment. However, let me just point out, share with you the unsung hero of the week. Harvest Share contacted Bonnie Matson. Harvest Share is a North Clackamas food bank that has been growing for the last 2 years. Started by the North Clackamas Roundtable, Harvest Share was initially started to supplement another fantastic program, the Backpack Buddies, which does not operate during the summer. Today, Harvest Share is celebrating the receipt of a $10,000 grant from Providence Foundation, along with support from the Oregon Food Bank. Their success has helped to provide healthy food to many Clackamas families. They have been so successful, their challenge now is where to store all the food for distribution. Join me in congratulating Harvest Share on their progress and important work towards sustaining the local community. I mean, food is every year when we get requests for the small grants, which now Commissioner Smith suggested that we raise $50,000 to $250,000 total every year, we get a lot of food bank-related requests. Refrigerators, freezers, wheelchair ramps, you name it, we see it all. But good for Harvest Share for doing their share and some more. We do have several other town hall meetings, and they will be displayed here. In September, we've changed this one to September, is to be determined where, well, I guess it's at the Clackamas County Event Center, excuse me. In September, it's, the topic will be Ensure Safe and Healthy Communities, and location will be Clackamas County Event Center. That's the fairgrounds in Canby, time to be determined. And then Wednesday, October 28th, the topic will be to honor, utilize, promote, and invest in our natural resources. All these topics are from our Performance Clackamas Strategic Plan. That location will be at the Resort at the Mountain in Welches, Oregon at 6 p.m., again on October 28th. Well, we're about to set a record here we're very proud of. The shortest meeting thus far in my tenure here, short and sweet, but do remember this. Next week, it is the time for the budget. And so we will be entertaining requests from Sandy to agree to their urban renewal area and a whole bunch of budget hearings. I mean, probably 10 or so, I think.
17.
17 different hearings. Now, a lot of people don't show up most times, and I think I opined about that last night, how we had the budget, and really only one group, we had an open time where anybody could talk about any facet of the budget, and only one group showed up, and that was NAMI. And NAMI got what they requested. I'm not certainly saying that everybody that comes before the commission gets everything they asked for, but it was very impressive testimony, and it showed that they really needed it and deserved it, and so they got the money they requested. But if anybody wants to talk about our budget, I request that they show up next Thursday at 10 a.m., and we will start that process. It's going to be a long, long meeting unlike this one. So, there being no further business before the commission this day, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.